cravings? Have you felt tired? Have you had digestive issues, bloating, water retention, poop? Was your poop dark, light, floating? Could you see pieces of food in it? We talk a lot about poop, so get ready for that. Did you have stomach cramps? Did you have an aching, a heartburn? How did you feel a couple hours after your breakfast? Did you have a headache? Did you have any skin flare-ups, maybe eczema or rashes or whatever? How are your hormones? Your stress hormones, your sex hormones? What's your mood like? Did you feel anxious? Did you feel depressed? Did you have more or less hot flashes or heart palpitations? Write it down. Observe these things. What about your joint pain, your body pain, your overall pain? So this is, 2 or 3 hours maybe after you've eaten to really consider how your body is responding to that food. And then when it's that next time, trying to live intuitively, and you're thinking, well, I'm kind of feeling hungry, like I want a snack, or I'm, low energy, or it's been 2 or 3 hours or 6 hours, or whatever your metabolism and your biochemistry likes to do, write down what you eat. Well, I had about 3 or 4 cups of arugula and spinach, blah, blah, blah. This is what I had. Same process. Write down what you eat and just a guesstimate maybe of the portions. And of course, if you eat out, you need to, remind yourself that you were eating out at that time. And then go through the process again and ask yourself those same questions and really notice and say, gosh, after I ate that, I was kind of bloated, or I just felt extra tired, or I had extra cravings and I couldn't stop thinking about cake or whatever it is. This is the beginning of discovering what works for your body. And a little word on that is what works for your body on Monday might not be exactly what works on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because each day we do have different levels of physical activity. We do have different levels of stress. We have different nights that we're coming off of, good sleep, bad sleep. We also have different mental tasks that we're doing. Maybe it was a work day is totally different emotionally than your day at the lake. There's sun exposure, there's outside time, nature time, there's even time with your friends and your pets. All of these things actually change our body chemistry a little bit, which might and very well does change your needs for your body. And then, of course, there's the hormonal response. Where you are, ladies, in your cycle does matter. Now, for me personally, I notice that I get a little bit more carby right before I'm going to start my period. Now, I have entered the perimenopause years, which can last up to 10 years of have your period, now you don't, kind of a thing, back and forth, really heavy and then missing or whatever. So I know that my body tends to be a little bit more carb desired. And so when I think my period is coming or guessing that it's coming, I go with that. Now I do choose quality food. I'm just not reaching for junk food and giving myself an excuse to add toxicity to my body. But I understand that my body might need a few more carbohydrates, might need a few more calories. So I find myself drizzling a little extra fat on my food to help with that a little bit. So we've been talking about just listening to your body and understanding that every day doesn't necessarily have to be the same. So I was just asked this morning, is it okay if I kind of eat the same thing every day? When you are figuring all of this out and you're understanding not only how your body reacts to food and certain foods and certain times of the month or certain stress levels, if it is easier for you to eat the same thing every day and maybe the portions or timing might vary, I say absolutely. It takes a little bit of time for you to sort out this food agrees with me, This food doesn't. This timing agrees with me. This timing doesn't. Once you have that down, then you can get more creative, and you have the confidence to get more creative with your eating. And you give yourself permission to do different things. Like, for example, right now, I'm not eating very much dairy. If you have me over for dinner and you took the time to make a clean, more keto style meal for me because you invited me over and you put some sour cream on that, I'm going to eat it. But I do also know that right now that dairy is going to leave me the next day, or even a couple hours later, feeling a little bloated. That's not bad. That's not a bad thing, and it's not part of my everyday. So we don't have to be dogmatic. We don't have to be like, these are the rules, and I'm sticking to it. Well, some things I know. Like I also personally am doing a 30-day lectin study on my body to really evaluate what it's like to pull lectins out of my diet and then slowly put them back in. I'm doing this because I had a really good response to not eating grains. And when I'm talking grains, of course, it's the rice and it's corn. And usually that's where I would fudge a little bit. If we were out and about and I wanted a little bit of the only thing that was offered in my eating repertoire was maybe something with quinoa or something that came with like a little rice, and I was feeling like I wanted a few carbs, I would say, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Or my husband makes salsa. If I wanted some gluten-free tortilla chips, then I might partake. Now I buy a cassava chip. It's made out of a root vegetable, and they process it or fry it in avocado oil. And so, now I can enjoy his delicious salsa. However, that salsa is very full of lectins and the tomatoes and the peppers. And just because I am dealing with lowering my body's systemic inflammation, so head to toe inflammation often causes pain, I'm really wanting to keep that down low, and maybe even just get rid of it altogether. I'm experimenting with different things. And I'm doing this very same body awareness that I'm encouraging you to do. Knowing your body is one thing. Knowing what you put in your body is the next thing. And if you want to add a little bit more, is not just how you wake up and how you slept and how you eat and how your body responded to that. You could go the next step and you could journal maybe your stress load of the day, right? Maybe you had an argument with your husband or your boss, or you have a teenager that is just, they've lost their mind and no longer see common sense, anymore in your stress levels. If you would like to add that to know your body, that's awesome, because it may not have been that half a sweet potato that you had. It may be that you were in pain, or that you had a headache, or you had an upset stomach. It may be that you had a really stressful day. So this journaling and paying attention is one of the most important tools that I actually have my students participate in. So I want to remind you to make sure that you're getting out in nature. That does help our stress levels. And I know for somebody like myself, getting out in nature is really, really easy. I live in the mountains and foothills, and I have a beautiful area right outside my door, front, back, whichever direction I go, I can be out in nature. I do encourage you to connect with the natural environment. And if you can, take those shoes off. Those foot condoms are terrible, so take your shoes off a little bit, connect with the earth, breathe the air, get off your devices. I know sometimes even when I'm out watering, I'm listening to a podcast or some education or educational book on tape. But there's more times where I don't listen to anything because I'm taking advantage of being out in nature. And having that quiet meditative time and getting to the real basics in life of just breathing and doing nothing. The unproductivity of just sitting and being quiet is one of the most productive things that we can do for our spiritual, emotional, mental, and even physical health. So even if it's 5 minutes, even if you have to have an app or set a timer because you're afraid that you won't do it long enough or that you'll do it too long, having that meditative time, and then moving your body. Hopefully you are able to do some kind of resistance or weight training 2 to 3 days a week. It doesn't have to be 5, 6, 7 days a week, especially if you are in your 40s or if you have 40s and up, and if you have autoimmune issues, blood sugar issues, just any sort of chronic issues going on. Don't overdo it with the training. That's not what's going to make it better. You're probably tearing your temple down in an effort to build it. You are probably aggressively tearing it down. So even myself, I only strength train 3 times a week, and that is only if I feel good on the day that I have it planned. If my body doesn't feel like it is in the right space for strength training, then I don't do that day, even if it's scheduled. I might do walking, or most of the time I'll do yoga and stretching. Restorative yoga sometimes turns into more of a strength yoga, whatever. I let my body evolve, but I do look for what it needs. So move your body, get out and do the strength training. You need it. Your body really needs it. I love strength. I love being strong. But there's also strength in knowing when you need to back off. Okay, well, I hope that helped. I hope that you're enjoying these podcasts, and I'm really excited to do them, and I'm also excited for my students because these things you often have to hear time and time again, and we're going to get into some more specific details about foods and about certain decisions that you can make and how to in choosing foods and finding what's right for you, because at the end of the day, you could eat exactly like I do and have no improvement in your health whatsoever. And that's why you're listening to this, is because you're interested in improving your health. Whether it's that you don't want migraines anymore, or you just want more energy, or you just don't feel like yourself. I hear that a lot. That women just don't feel like they're themselves. So I actually have it put together. I just need to put the final touches on maybe a little 10-day detox that will be open to students that aren't my clients, that you can purchase for a nominal fee for just a little bit to get back on track and maybe undo some of the damage from summer. And one last thing I want to leave you with is I feel incredible freedom with my foods. And you wouldn't think so. To the untrained observer, as you're watching me go throughout my day, the fact that I can't go have round table pizza for lunch or go into Starbucks and have a fancy coffee or hit that new pasta restaurant in the evening or have a cookie out of a vending machine or whatever. You might look at me and go, wow, she has so many restrictions. I would hate to have to live like Brandy lives. But that's really not how I feel. I don't feel that way at all. I don't want to put things in my body that aren't nourishing for my body. And I feel that way because of the things that I talked to you about today, because I know my body's response. So I don't crave those things, and I certainly don't feel sorry for myself. I feel free. It's not a mystery. Some foods are no longer a mystery to me. And when a mystery has been unveiled, and there's this eye-opening moment, it's freedom. It's freeing to know, well, that's why I don't feel good when my husband and I go out for a nice dinner. That's why I don't feel good, when we come home or the next day. And that means that the next time you go out, you can choose different things and you can have a great night and a great tomorrow. So I hope this helps. You can find me on Facebook, Brandy Lloyd. There's